we live, so full of a number of things, passing quickly. Can we hold time, examine its dimensions? We try to fathom, to extend our senses, experience what we cannot directly see, enlarge our insights. Through photography and film, we become explorers. An image, worth how many words, opens the eyes to other worlds, subworlds and superworlds, far away and very close. Worlds we do not know, though we know they exist. The camera records in visual poetry, scaled to our grasp. In the microcosm, fantasy is reality. How many universes are there in a fingernail or a drop of water? We are intimate observers of the invisible, subworld where man is an outsized alien. The design of the amino acid, the landscape of a fly's tongue, the sleeping sickness carrier, a silicone, pollen, the growth of a crystal. And then there is the texture of a metropolis. The camera probes and reveals in a way other communication forms cannot. What is too small, too large, too far away, too fast, too slow, too hidden, too complex, is subject to scrutiny. Time, contracted or expanded. Motion, speeded, slow, flowing, frozen, simultaneous, manipulated to catch processes in life. Nature, science. Surface is penetrated, a deeper, darker labyrinth, exposed to the light of examination. A new rhythm stirs our world, its visual counterpart symbolized in the technology of laboratories. Imperceptible patterns of matter and energy are documented. The camera dissolves the walls of the sedentary classroom and fuses students with discovery. Space and time are captive. Catch and hold the fleeting moment, lock it into memory and into history. Events blurred by time live again through the photograph. Graphic evidence in the log of human affairs. History made immediate. Other lands, other cultures, branches of the family of man. Though we are not there, we see, we feel. We absorb by experience, total involvement. Light, color, form, motion strike a response, kinetic emotion. The magic of film and photography brings the remote to the everyday. So many ways to say so many things. Captures the eye, stretches our perception, brings closer meaning and truth, new realities. We see for ourselves. Seeing is believing. This is the power of the camera and the art which flows from it. This is learning.
tip the garbage collector off to show it how much space is in use. But we have a different scheme, which is certainly generally applicable for statements of this kind, and which is implemented in the Snowball 4 language, which is when the collection gets control, we have a very good idea of what the code's like. I mean, we've compiled the code ourselves. If we don't know what it's like, no one else does.
Now I want to go on to the consideration of how we're going to multiply to mix these together. And in order to motivate this, let's think about a transformation of coordinates from an XY coordinate system to an X prime Y prime system. Then let's follow this by a second transformation of coordinates, taking us from the X prime Y prime system to a double prime coordinate system. Now, for your own convenience, as far as thinking about this is concerned, if you want to have something that you can hang this on.
Yeah, but it's much clearer here.
You can only see it in little areas like this, buggy down there.
Yeah, well, that's so subtle that it has no meaning. Whereas here, you have a positive image which reverses itself and becomes a negative image. And it's marvelous seeing, you know, the reversal from negative to positive. And also you begin to lose, you know, your figure and ground relationships there, where it disappears and comes out. You know, like the edge of the Rembrandt portraits.
An emulsion of oil in water is pumped into this unit, which consists of a fibrous mat. The oil coalesces on the fibers.
Milton is faced with a very difficult artistic problem of somehow making the fall of Adam and Eve convincing. And one way of doing it is in this, as he does in this passage, is having Eve placed in this position where she admires herself like Narcissus in the stream, so that this will be exactly the weakness in her that Satan will exploit in Book 9.
But they dropped their prices for some reason.
Okay.
You can buy for less.
Okay, I see what you mean. Anybody ever heard of a prompt payment discount? What's the essence of prompt payment? Remember we talked about the fact that there is a cost of...
Really, we're interested in figuring out how individual behavior is influenced by other people. When you stop and think about it, that really covers a wide variety of behavior. For example, we might want to look at the matter of occupational choice. That's a very personal kind of decision that every individual has to make.
Here we are introducing dye into the flow to show how the honeycomb, which is located downstream here, can eliminate the eddies that are present in the flow. The flow approaches the honeycomb in an eddying fashion and leaves it in a smooth and orderly manner.
Our objective is to determine the number of living organisms that can exist in a polluted water sample. To do this, we take a sample of the polluted water, filter it through a fine-pored filter.
This is a device that models the interactions in materials. You see these little magnets are tied together, and now when we expand the array, we can see the variation of the forces between these magnets, which models the interactions in real materials. You can see the variations in the patterns as we expand the spacing.
This is the way the description of Earth sounds. There was also a prioressa. That of her smelling was full simple and coy.
It exemplifies quite well, I believe, the idea behind what we're trying to do when we speak of here in our educational program of a structural architecture. I think it shows in this photograph of the building that the very expression of the building, the architecture, if you please, is in no way contradictory to the structural means that makes the building possible.
The noble gases represent an important family of elements, which include helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, and the radioactive radon. 10 years ago, it would have been inconceivable that I could hold in my hand crystals of xenon difluoride, a solid substance obtained by treating two gases, xenon and fluorine, in the presence of ultraviolet light or by heating.
I think that these pictures all show what can be done. Mm-hmm. So I think that we better take our material and get improved resolution and improved contrast on the pictures. Okay.
In the jet engine, if we don't have a prop, then the amount of work which the turbine does exactly equals the amount of work that we need for the compression. This means that if we were really to look at the efficiency of the Brayton cycle for a jet engine, we would find out that the efficiency is 0. But we still have a very good aircraft, even though we do have a 0 thermodynamic efficiency.
This is John, and we're on radio station WIIT, 640 on your AM dial, 88.9 on your FM dial. We've got about 24 minutes after the hour, 3 o'clock. I've got to leave soon, but got some music we're going to play in the meantime. I want to remind you, coming up quick, April 30th, we've got the second annual Amelia Earhart Memorial Kite Flying Contest.
Peggy, you're a senior in high school now. What high school?
Academy of Our Lady.
In Chicago.
Right.
And you're taking this year. You're taking English. Is that right? Senior English, senior mathematics.
Right.
What about your mathematics?
thousands of years, artists have drawn in precise line on cave walls, papyrus, parchment, and paper. The line is incisive. It delineates and purifies the exact detail the artist pictures in his mind. The line, broad or narrow, long and sweeping, or drawn in short strokes, stipple and dots, makes shading of infinite richness and depth. Crosshatch overlays line on line and creates luminous shadows. And soon, the single line has become form, dimension, mass. The pen scribes millions of lines in the creation of art, and the surface of the paper becomes a partner in the act. Today, a most important function of the line in contemporary graphics is to maintain accuracy, exactness. Reproducing a design concept in print requires absolute detail, and this requires a precise drawing, a key line, to establish borders of halftones, solid colors, screen tints, as well as line illustration, drawings, lettering, graphs, and charts. The key line is the basic plan. It's the guide for the new sophisticated processes of printed reproduction. There is no mass printing without engravings, and there is no engraving without original art. The key line begins with a line. To draw the final line in proper position and thickness requires a special skill, but the material, the paper on which the line is drawn, is a critical factor in the preparation of working drawings. The paper must respond to each need of this precise skill. It must respond to the pen, to the pencil, to the brush, with a surface that supports and enhances the line. Line Coat Illustration Board, a product of Crescent Cardboard Company, is the final answer to a long research and development program to perfect a surface that provides the finest ink line possible. A new process created a coated sheet that renders superfine lines without clogging pens. Until recently, hot press board was the standard. Magnified hundreds of times through the electron microscope, these comparative photos show the present surface of hot press board and the finer grained top surface of line coat. These are the results. The edge of the ink line on hot press is irregular. On line coat, the line is pure and the edge is accurate and sharp. When lines are drawn over each other, the cross-hatching does not fuzz, since the surface of line coat does not fray. Corrections don't destroy the line coat surface. Slight errors are scratched off, and the ink can be removed with an abrasive eraser, after which another line can be drawn clearly over the erased surface. Slight burnishing caused by metal instruments are removed easily with a plastic eraser. Wiping with a dry cleaning pad removes oil and grease prints without removing pencil lines. And rubber cement is removed easily after paste-up copy is applied. Transfer letters apply with ease on line coat, yet tape picks up without marring the surface. Pencil lines are blacker on line coat. Ink lines never gray out when pencil is removed with a plastic eraser. Line coat is the contemporary answer for sharp ink line drawings. The reproduction of graphic art begins on a simple board. Packaging, periodicals, newspapers, posters, corporate graphics, all of the visual graphics media depend on the accuracy of the drawing needed to produce them. This accuracy is critical and dependent on the edge of a line.
Nothing seems changed, yet all is changing. Life passes so swiftly, it seems impossible to grasp, to hold each cherished moment. What do you seek? The soaring exhilaration of a flight in space. I can give you this, and I can give more. The delicious thrill between diving board and water, the tension while ball teeters on the cup's lip, a third strike in the ninth inning, a breaking mast. I can give you these, and I can give more. A child sobbing, a woman laughing, a man dying. I can give you this, and I can give more. I pursue danger, you may observe. I seek challenge, you may participate. What do you seek? Perspective amid confusion? It can be yours. Communication with the changing world? I can help. Escape from pressure? I am a point of view, a forum, an opportunity, a friend and counselor. I am a magazine. My bones come from the forest, the pages to which millions turn seeking a place in a tumultuous world. A magazine is a meeting place between an idea and you. Seek your answer on my pages. Magazine pages, the meeting place between the reader and the idea. Yet if these pages are my bones, then my editor's thoughts are my life stream.
As an editor, I feel that one element makes the difference between the success or failure of a magazine. That is, when people sense that something is being done for them that's unlike anything they're getting anywhere else, because someone cares.
Hear the voices of my many editors. It is their perceptiveness that creates the rapport that exists between reader and magazine. Listen.
A really great editor is one who vibrates a little ahead of the time. Such an editor becomes a leader of opinion. As they turn his pages, the reader reactions will be, "Oh, how true. Why didn't I think of that myself?" Or, "That's what I've always believed, but I could never put it into words."
The things that we put in our magazine are in response to the concern of our readers. Therefore, what we're doing is talking back to them, enlightening and encouraging them with answers to questions that they're asking. By empathizing with them, by sharing common interests, common concerns, we're definitely communicating.
In our particular magazine, we try to help that reader. We help him conquer that feeling of inadequacy that almost every man has in the world the way it is today.
We always aim for a point of view. A story without a point of view is a bland, meaningless thing. It would be presumptuous of me to say that this point of view is going to agree with so many different people, but if the readers edit us, we might as well turn in the Union card.
It doesn't take long to find out that readers can't tell you what they want in advance. It's like the statement that Roxy made when he stood at the theater entrance watching the audience come out after the show. He said, "People always know what they want after they've seen it." Well, that's the way it is with magazines.
Maybe it sounds corny, but there's no room on a magazine for a lady in the dark. Now, you've got to be out there in the blaze where things are going on, to be just plain snoopy, but on a very high level.
I feel that there is a contract between editor and reader. The reader elects to take and read the magazine on the strength of certain representations by the magazine as to what its purpose is. The editor's job is to see that the reader gets what he's been led to expect. You cheat if you give less. You've wasted the reader's time, and he's going to hold it bitterly against you if you waste his time week after week.
We feel that our readers are a lot smarter than surveys show, so we don't try to talk down to them. We assume they know a heck of a lot about foreign affairs and books and science, and reader response proves it to be true. Some surveys tell us not to run stories on science, but we do run them, and they turn out to be enormously popular.
Every year, we all go out with magazine in hand and have a number of good visits with readers somewhere, usually in the kitchen over a pot of coffee. The biggest thing we bring back is their comment as to why they did or didn't read something. Any one of our editors with a sensitive ear should come back with an awful lot of clues to guide him in the making of upcoming issues.
A friend of mine, who's one of the top men in the electronics field, said that the young man who graduates this year from a school like MIT will know as much about electronics as he's learned in his entire life. Yet that young man is going to go on and acquire more knowledge. It's a race to keep even with our readers, who are advancing at a great pace. We must attempt to anticipate what their interests will be. We must keep changing all the time.
The world changes, creating new challenges each day. I am a counselor and a friend. I am a forum from which my editors speak. I am experience. I am responsible, the answer to a million questions. I am perspective in a world in which all is changing. On my pages, the ideas and products of American industry can enjoy their greatest moments of receptivity. I am a magazine.